You've been taught to be the nice guy. Society has praised you for it, told you that being agreeable, humble, and self-sacrificing will lead to a happy and successful life. But deep inside, there's a nagging feeling that something isn't right. Maybe you've noticed that you don't always get the respect you deserve. Maybe you've realized that being the nice guy often means you're taken for granted, overlooked, or even manipulated. So today, let's talk about why it's time to stop being the nice guy and how transforming your mindset will allow you to live with strength, dignity, and purpose. True power lies in self-respect, and it is crucial to understand that the world around you is a mirror reflecting your innermost beliefs and feelings about your own worth. It is not external forces that dictate how others treat you. It is your own consciousness, your inner convictions about who you are, that shapes your experience of life. This realization can be difficult to accept at first, but it is a necessary foundation if you wish to harness the fullness of your power. Your external world, in all its forms, is constantly responding to the vibration you emit, and that vibration is most strongly determined by the respect you hold for yourself. Self-respect is not just about setting boundaries or speaking up when someone mistreats you. It goes much deeper. Self-respect is a state of being, a profound recognition of your inherent worth and value. It is the quiet confidence that flows from knowing you are enough just as you are. When you embody this truth, it radiates outward into everything you do, and the world cannot help but respond. People sense it. Opportunities align in your favor. Situations that once seemed to work against you begin to transform. This is not because the world has suddenly changed, but because you have chosen to respect yourself at the deepest level. You must first understand that self-respect is an inner condition. It is not something you earn through accomplishments, nor is it a gift that others bestow upon you when you finally become good enough. Instead, it is a deliberate choice, a state of consciousness that you cultivate within. To do this, you must first recognize where you have been neglecting your worth. Consider all the times you have said yes when you wanted to say no, the moments when you bit your tongue to avoid conflict, or when you allowed someone to treat you in a way that diminished your spirit. Each of these instances represents a moment when you failed to honor your own value. The first step in reclaiming your power is to become aware of these patterns and commit to changing them. To respect yourself means to live in alignment with your highest values and desires. It means no longer betraying yourself to gain approval or avoid disapproval. Many people live their entire lives chasing validation from others, but this is a never-ending quest. The moment you seek approval externally, you give away your power. The only approval that truly matters is your own. When you make the decision to honor and respect yourself, you step into a new reality where you no longer need to seek permission to be who you are. This is where true power is born. Self-respect also involves the courage to enforce boundaries. Your boundaries are not merely lines you draw to protect yourself from others. They are powerful declarations of what you believe you deserve. When you say, "I will not accept this treatment," or "I need time for myself," you are making a bold statement to the universe. You are affirming that you are worthy of love, respect, and care. However, boundaries are only effective when they come from a place of genuine self-respect. If you set boundaries but do not believe in your own worth, others will sense this, and your boundaries will crumble under pressure. But when your boundaries are a natural expression of your self-respect, they are unshakable. They do not require explanation or justification, because they are an extension of the power you have cultivated within. Moreover, self-respect influences the way you speak and carry yourself. Pay attention to your words and tone when you interact with others. Do you often apologize for taking up space? Do you diminish your achievements or speak as if your needs are secondary? These habits reveal a lack of self-respect. True self-respect requires you to speak confidently and without apology. It does not mean you become arrogant or dismissive of others. Rather, you communicate with clarity and assurance because you know your words have value. You no longer shrink to make others comfortable. You express your ideas fully, knowing that your perspective is worth sharing. The way you treat your body is another reflection of your self-respect. When you honor your physical form, you send a message to your subconscious mind that you are worthy of care. This doesn't mean striving for perfection or punishing yourself for perceived flaws. Instead, it means nurturing your body through rest, nourishment, and movement that feels good to you. It means dressing in a way that reflects your self-worth, not to impress others, but because you recognize that you deserve to present yourself with dignity. The physical and the spiritual are interconnected, and by respecting your body, you are also respecting your inner being. Your environment, too, should reflect your sense of self-respect. The spaces you occupy should uplift you and inspire you. Surround yourself with objects, colors, and art that remind you of your inherent worth. Declutter anything that makes you feel less than the magnificent being you are. Your surroundings have a subtle yet profound effect on your consciousness, and when your environment mirrors your inner respect, you feel more aligned and powerful. Each detail of your life, from the way you organize your workspace to the people you choose to spend time with, either reinforces or diminishes your sense of self-respect. In relationships, self-respect means refusing to settle for less than what aligns with your highest vision of love and partnership. If someone does not honor or value you, it is not your job to change or fix them. Your job is to honor yourself enough to walk away from anything that does not match the love you are capable of giving and receiving. This does not mean you become unkind or unyielding. It simply means you trust that by holding on to your self-respect, you are making space for relationships that uplift and empower you. Your authentic self must be honored because living a life that denies your true nature creates a dissonance that ripples throughout your existence. When you suppress your genuine feelings and desires in order to fit into society's expectations or to be liked, you are essentially rejecting the most essential part of yourself. This rejection comes at a high cost. It drains your energy, creates inner turmoil, and prevents you from fully realizing your potential. The authentic self is the core of your being, the unfiltered version of who you truly are beneath all the roles and masks you may wear to please or protect. Embracing and honoring this self is not merely an act of courage, it is the key to living a life of true fulfillment. The world has conditioned many of us to believe that it is safer to be what others expect us to be. We learn from a young age to be agreeable, to smile when we don't feel happy, and to agree even when our soul is screaming for something different. We are trained to adjust, to adapt, and to compromise in order to maintain the status quo. But the problem with this approach is that it fragments our being. When we continually suppress our truth, the effect is scattered and inconsistent, making it difficult to attract what you really want. On the other hand, when you live in harmony with your authentic self, your energy becomes focused, clear, and powerful. It is like a laser beam cutting through any obstacles in its path. Your intentions become more potent, and the world around you begins to transform to match your truth. Honoring your authentic self also means giving yourself permission to feel what you feel without judgment. Emotions are a natural and vital part of your being. They are not meant to be suppressed or ignored. They are messengers guiding you toward what is right for you and warning you when something is not. When you feel sadness, anger, joy, or fear, these emotions are not random. They are clues to your inner world. By acknowledging and accepting your feelings, you are giving your authentic self a voice. You are affirming that your experience matters and that you have the right to feel deeply. It is not your job to make your emotions more palatable for others, or to pretend you are fine when you are not. Honoring your emotional truth is a radical act of self-respect. To live authentically also means to express your true desires, even if they make others uncomfortable. Many of us are taught that it is selfish to want too much, to dream too big, or to prioritize our own happiness. But the truth is, your desires are sacred. They are not random whims, they are expressions of your soul's purpose. When you deny your desires to please others, you are denying a part of your soul. It is not selfish to want to live a life that makes you feel alive. In fact, the more you honor your desires, the more you inspire others to do the same. Living authentically is a gift, not only to yourself, but to the world. There is also great freedom in being unapologetically yourself. The weight of pretending is heavy, and it drains your life force. When you allow yourself to be who you are, you liberate yourself from the exhausting cycle of people-pleasing. You no longer have to second-guess your words or analyze how you are perceived. You become free to exist as you are, without the burden of trying to mold yourself into someone else's idea of who you should be. This freedom is exhilarating and life-changing. It allows you to experience a deeper connection to yourself and, paradoxically, to others. When you are true to yourself, you attract people who love and respect the real you, rather than the facade you have created. Honoring your authentic self also means embracing your imperfections. Society often pressures us to present a flawless version of ourselves, one that meets the standards set by social media, peers, or family. But perfection is an illusion, and striving for it only leads to more fragmentation. Your flaws and vulnerabilities are what make you human. They are part of your unique beauty. By accepting and even celebrating your imperfections, you give yourself the grace to be fully human. This acceptance doesn't mean you stop growing or evolving. It means you start from a place of unconditional self-love. You honor your journey, including the mistakes and setbacks, as valuable parts of your growth. Another crucial aspect of living authentically is speaking your truth. Words have power, and when you speak in alignment with your soul, you create a ripple effect that can change your reality. Speaking your truth does not mean forcing your opinions onto others or engaging in conflict. It means communicating with honesty and integrity, even when your voice shakes. It means expressing what you feel, want, and need without diluting your message to make others comfortable. Your truth matters, and it deserves to be heard. Each time you choose to speak authentically, you strengthen your inner foundation. The path to honoring your authentic self requires deep introspection. You must be willing to examine the beliefs and patterns you have adopted from society, family, or past experiences. Often the things that hold you back from living authentically are not even your own ideas, they are inherited scripts that no longer serve you. By questioning these beliefs and releasing what no longer feels true, you create space for your authentic self to emerge. This process can be painful at times, as it often involves shedding identities you have held onto for years. Yet the liberation that comes from living in alignment with your true self is worth the discomfort. Honoring your authentic self is an ongoing journey, not a one-time decision. It requires daily choices to be honest, to be vulnerable, and to stand firm in your truth. It requires you to give yourself permission to change and evolve, as authenticity is not a fixed state. It is a dynamic, ever-evolving process of becoming more and more aligned with who you are at your core. You must be willing to let go of what no longer resonates and to embrace the unknown aspects of yourself as they unfold. You are not here to be a doormat, and understanding this fundamental truth is crucial for living a life of dignity and power. Too often people confuse kindness with weakness and believe that in order to be good or accepted, they must let others walk all over them. But your existence is not meant to be one of silent suffering or endless self-sacrifice at the expense of your own well-being. You have a right to stand tall, to be respected, and to set boundaries that honor your worth. Life is not asking you to be a martyr who bends and breaks for the sake of peace, rather. It is urging you to embrace the strength that comes from self-respect. When you act as a doormat, you give away your power that you allow others to dictate how you feel, what you do, and how you live. This does not just hurt you on the surface, it creates a deeper wound, one that chips away at your self-esteem and your sense of identity. Over time, you begin to internalize the message that you are not important, that your needs and desires are secondary to those of others. But this is a lie you must challenge. You are as worthy and significant as anyone else, and your existence carries just as much weight. You were not put on this earth to shrink so that others can feel big, to remain silent so that others can be loud, or to sacrifice your dreams for someone else's convenience. Being assertive and honoring your own needs does not make you selfish or unkind. In fact, it is a form of deep self-respect and self-love. Many people are raised to believe that taking care of themselves is wrong, or that they should always prioritize the comfort of others. But consider this: if you constantly pour from your own cup until it's empty, how will you have anything left to give? True strength comes from a place of balance, where you are able to give to others without depleting yourself. You are not here to serve everyone else while neglecting your own well-being. Your life is valuable, and your needs are important. It is essential to realize that allowing others to treat you poorly not only harms you, but also enables bad behavior. When you permit someone to walk all over you, you are teaching them that it is acceptable to disregard your worth. You are giving them permission to continue taking advantage of your kindness. This cycle can only be broken when you decide to step into your power and say no more. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect, and it also sends a message to those around you that you will not tolerate being mistreated. You are not responsible for others' reactions to your boundaries if someone gets upset because you refuse to be a doormat. That is a reflection of their own issues, not a failure on your part. Understanding that you are not here to be a doormat also means embracing the strength to walk away from situations or relationships that do not honor your value. Sometimes people stay in unhealthy dynamics out of fear of being alone, fear of conflict, or fear of being judged. But staying in a place where you are not respected is far more damaging to your spirit than any of those fears. You deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift you, respect you, and treat you as an equal. Walking away from toxicity is not an act of weakness, it is a declaration of your worth. There is a common misconception that being a kind and compassionate person means you must always put others first, even to your own detriment. However, true kindness starts with being kind to yourself. It is entirely possible to be loving, giving, and understanding while also being firm and assertive. The world needs people who are compassionate, but it does not need more doormats. Compassion without boundaries is self-destructive. When you honor your own needs and set limits, you create a foundation from which your kindness can flow freely without being taken advantage of. People will often respect you more when they see that you respect yourself. It is also important to examine why you may have the tendency to become a doormat. Often this behavior is rooted in a desire for validation or a fear of rejection. You may believe, consciously or unconsciously, that being agreeable and self-sacrificing will make people like or accept you. But the truth is, any relationship that requires you to diminish yourself is not worth having. Real love and respect come when you are your authentic self, when you stand strong in your convictions and refuse to be treated poorly. Your worth is not determined by how much you can endure or how many people you can please. You are not obligated to fix other people's problems or carry their burdens. You can be supportive without becoming a dumping ground for other people's negativity. It is not your job to save everyone, nor is it your responsibility to make everyone happy. You have the right to say no without feeling guilty, to put your own well-being first, and to walk away from situations that drain your spirit. You cannot be everything to everyone, and that is perfectly okay. You are here to live your life fully, not to be a permanent source of comfort and convenience for others at the expense of your own happiness. Society often glorifies selflessness, but this can lead to a culture that celebrates self-neglect. There is nothing noble about sacrificing your dignity or your dreams for the sake of others who do not value you. You are not less spiritual or less worthy of love if you choose to stand up for yourself. In fact, by respecting your own boundaries, you are setting a powerful example for those around you. You are teaching others that self-worth is non-negotiable and that everyone deserves to be treated with respect. When you stop being a doormat, you reclaim the energy that was once wasted on trying to please or appease others. This energy can be redirected toward your own goals, dreams, and passions. Imagine the freedom and power you would feel if you no longer worried about being walked over or taken advantage of. Imagine how much more you would achieve if you channeled your energy into your own growth instead of constantly trying to keep the peace. Your life would transform, not because others changed, but because you finally chose to honor yourself. You are worthy of respect, and it starts with the way you treat yourself. If you find that you often let others override your needs, it's time to look inward and ask yourself why. What beliefs are you holding on to that keep you in a place of subservience? What fears are preventing you from stepping into your power? You have the right to take up space, to voice your opinions, and to live according to your own terms. Being a doormat does not make you more lovable or admirable, it only makes you invisible, both to others and to yourself. The journey to honoring your worth and standing up for yourself may not be easy, especially if you have spent years in the habit of being overly accommodating. But every step you take toward reclaiming your power is a step toward a more authentic, fulfilling life. The power of speech is one of the most magnificent tools you possess. It is not just a means of communication, but a conduit through which your deepest desires can be expressed and made real. Speaking your desires into reality is not a mere poetic phrase, but a practice grounded in the energy of intention and the profound effect words have on your consciousness and the world around you. Words are carriers of energy, vibrating with the meaning you infuse into them. When you speak your desires with conviction, you are doing more than voicing your hopes. You are actively creating and shaping the reality you wish to live in. Your spoken words have the power to direct the course of your life. Imagine that each word you speak is like a command, sent out into the universe with the expectation of fulfillment. The universe responds to the frequency of your speech, and this response is guided by the clarity and conviction with which you express yourself. When you declare your intentions aloud, you are aligning your inner vision with external reality. Your voice becomes a bridge, connecting your inner dreams to the world of manifestation. This is why it is essential to speak positively and confidently about the things you want, rather than dwelling on what you lack. The act of speaking your desires into reality requires more than casual affirmation. Carefully to focus on what you desire rather than what you fear or do not want. One of the biggest mistakes people make is speaking carelessly, without realizing the weight of their words. Complaints, negative self-talk, or statements rooted in doubt act as obstacles to your own manifestation. When you say, "I can't do this, I'm always broke, or nothing ever works out for me," you are reinforcing those limitations. Your words are being heard, both by your subconscious mind and the universe, and they create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Instead, you must practice the art of intentional speech, where every word you speak serves a purpose, moving you closer to your dreams rather than pushing them away. Another critical element of speaking your desires into reality is the language of gratitude. Speaking as if your desires are already fulfilled and expressing thankfulness for them in advance is a powerful manifestation tool. Saying, "I am so grateful for the abundance in my life," even if you are currently struggling financially, sets the tone for what you wish to experience. Gratitude elevates your frequency, making you a match for the reality you want to attract. It shifts your focus from lack to abundance, from limitation to possibility, and opens doors that were previously closed. You are essentially training yourself to expect miracles, to believe in the unseen, and to trust that your desires are on their way to you. Moreover, the way you speak your desires should be specific and vivid. Vague wishes yield vague results. Instead of saying, "I want to be happy," you could declare, "I am filled with joy and fulfillment in my career and personal life." The more detailed your spoken desires, the clearer the message you are sending out. Visualize what you are speaking. Feel it. See it in your mind's eye. When you give life to your desires through spoken words, backed by feeling and imagery, you engage multiple levels of your consciousness, making the act of manifestation more potent. Many spiritual teachings and philosophies emphasize the importance of the spoken word because it is the point where your thoughts become tangible. Thoughts are the seed, but speaking them is the act of planting. By saying your desires out loud, you make a commitment to them. It becomes a declaration to yourself and the universe that you are serious about what you want. There is an undeniable magic in saying, "I am," rather than "I will be." The present tense speaks to the now, as if what you desire is already here. It helps dissolve the illusion of separation between you and your dream. Speaking your desires into reality also requires consistency and repetition. It is not a one-time act, but a practice you must cultivate daily. Just as you train a muscle, you train your reality with the energy of your words. This does not mean reciting your desires mechanically, but rather revisiting them with passion and enthusiasm, renewing your commitment to them. The more you speak about your dreams in a way that feels true and inspiring, the more you will notice opportunities and resources showing up to support your vision. However, it's not just about speaking in solitude. Share your desires with people who uplift you and who believe in your vision. Surround yourself with individuals who support your growth and can reinforce the energy of your spoken intentions. Be cautious, though, with whom you share your dreams. Not everyone will understand or support your vision, and sometimes it is best to protect your dreams from those who may speak doubt into them. The environment in which your words are spoken matters. It should be fertile ground where your desires can flourish rather than a hostile space where they are met with negativity. Remember, speaking your desires into reality also means being mindful of how you speak about your current circumstances. Even if you are facing challenges, resist the temptation to speak about them in a way that gives them more power. Instead of saying, "I'm so unlucky," or "things are so hard," try framing your situation in a way that leaves room for hope and possibility, like, "I am learning from these experiences and growing stronger every day." This shift in language transforms obstacles into stepping stones and keeps your vibration aligned with what you want to manifest. In addition, align your spoken words with your inner dialogue and your actions. It is not enough to say one thing and feel or do the opposite. If you say, "I am healthy and vibrant," but your mind is filled with worry about your health, or you are not taking care of your body, there is a disconnect. Words, thoughts, and actions must work together harmoniously. This alignment amplifies the energy of your desires, making them more powerful and effective. Think of it as creating a symphony of manifestation where every part of you is playing in tune with your desires. One practice that can strengthen the power of speaking your desires is to create daily rituals around your affirmations. This could be in the form of a morning declaration, where you start your day by speaking what you intend to create. Or it could be an evening ritual, where you reflect on your desires before going to bed, planting those intentions in your subconscious mind as you sleep. Rituals give structure to your practice and make it a part of your daily life, reinforcing the idea that manifestation is not a random act, but a deliberate and conscious co-creation. Speaking your desires into reality is an art, one that requires patience, practice, and unwavering belief in your own creative power. It is about reclaiming your voice and using it to shape the world around you. Every word you speak is like a drop of water, contributing to the ocean of your future. Make those drops count, infuse them with purpose and love, and watch as your spoken intentions transform your life in ways that once seemed unimaginable. Your boundaries are not simply lines drawn between yourself and the outside world. They are declarations of your worth, statements of what you will and will not accept. To understand the true importance of boundaries, you must first recognize that your boundaries are intrinsically tied to how you value yourself. They reflect the esteem in which you hold your being and determine the quality of interactions and relationships you allow in your life. When you set firm boundaries, you are not only protecting your physical and emotional space, but also reinforcing your intrinsic value to yourself and others. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect. It sends a powerful message to yourself that you are deserving of care, consideration, and dignity. Every time you uphold a boundary, you reaffirm this self-worth, strengthening the understanding within you that your needs and feelings are legitimate and important. This inner acknowledgement is foundational because it lays the groundwork for how others perceive and treat you. If you do not respect your own boundaries, it becomes all too easy for others to disregard them, creating a cycle where your value is continuously undermined. But when you stand by your limits, you teach others how to treat you, and in turn they come to respect your space, your emotions, and your time. When people think about boundaries, they often imagine them as defensive measures to keep negative influences away. However, boundaries are also about inviting the right kind of energy and people into your life. They are filters that allow you to choose interactions that uplift you rather than drain you. Consider the kind of experiences you want to have. If you seek relationships built on trust, respect, and mutual support, boundaries become essential. They create a safe container in which those kinds of connections can flourish. Without boundaries, you may find yourself exhausted, constantly giving without receiving, or being mistreated because there is no framework to ensure balance and reciprocity. Moreover, having strong boundaries does not mean being unkind or closed off. In fact, boundaries can make you more compassionate and present in your relationships. When you are clear about your limits, you can engage with others from a place of honesty and openness rather than from resentment or depletion. Think about how often people overextend themselves, saying yes when they want to say no, out of fear of disappointing others or being perceived as selfish. In doing so, they compromise their own well-being, leading to frustration and even damaging relationships over time. By saying no when you need to, you are being truthful, both to yourself and to those around you. This honesty can actually strengthen relationships because it fosters trust and clarity. Boundaries are not static, they evolve as you grow and change. This is a reminder that your value is not fixed, but something that deepens as you come to know yourself better. You may find that what was acceptable to you a few years ago no longer is. For instance, you might have once tolerated certain behaviors from friends or colleagues because you hadn't yet realized your own worth. But as you grow and your sense of self becomes stronger, those same behaviors may become intolerable. Adjusting your boundaries is not a sign of weakness, but of self-awareness and personal evolution. It is perfectly healthy to reassess and modify your boundaries as you understand more about what you need to feel respected and valued. A significant aspect of boundaries lies in communication. It is not enough to know what your limits are internally, you must express them clearly and assertively. This can be challenging, especially if you have been conditioned to prioritize others' needs over your own or fear being seen as difficult. Yet expressing your boundaries is a crucial step in honoring your value. Assertive communication does not mean being aggressive or confrontational. It means speaking from a place of self-assurance and clarity without apologizing for your needs. For example, instead of saying, "I'm sorry, but I can't help you with that," you might say, "I won't be able to assist with this at the moment." This small shift in language conveys your boundary without undermining your worth or making you appear guilty for standing up for yourself. Understanding your own value through boundaries also means being willing to walk away from situations or relationships that do not respect you. This is perhaps one of the hardest lessons because it requires immense courage and a deep sense of self-worth. When you know your value, you will not settle for treatment that falls short of what you deserve. Walking away is not about holding grudges or acting from a place of bitterness. It is about recognizing that staying in a space where your boundaries are consistently violated diminishes your value. By removing yourself from such situations, you are making a powerful statement about what you will not accept. Think about how empowering it is to know that you have the ability to shape your interactions and protect your peace. People often underestimate the ripple effect that setting boundaries has on all areas of their lives. Once you establish a sense of control over your personal space, you will notice improvements in your mental and emotional health. Stress and anxiety levels drop when you are no longer in constant worry about being taken advantage of or feeling overwhelmed by others' demands. Your relationships improve because you are engaging with others on your own terms, rather than from a place of obligation or people-pleasing. Boundaries, in essence, create a sense of freedom and autonomy, allowing you to live authentically and fully. Another critical element of boundaries is consistency. It is one thing to state your limits, but if you do not enforce them, their power diminishes. People learn how to treat you based on what you tolerate, so each time you make an exception or let a boundary slide, you send mixed signals about your value. Upholding boundaries requires discipline and a commitment to your well-being, even when it is uncomfortable or unpopular. This might mean repeatedly reminding someone of your limits or even distancing yourself from individuals who refuse to respect them. Consistency is what transforms boundaries from abstract concepts into real standards of behavior that others understand and respect. Establishing boundaries also helps you to recognize and respect the boundaries of others. When you understand the importance of your own limits, you are more likely to be empathetic and considerate of the needs and boundaries of those around you. This fosters a culture of mutual respect and understanding, where everyone feels safe and valued. It is a reminder that while you are responsible for protecting your energy and well-being, others are doing the same for themselves. Respecting someone else's boundaries does not mean agreeing with them, but acknowledging their right to have them. In this way, boundaries become a shared language of respect. At the core of boundary setting is the belief that your value does not come from external validation. It comes from within, from the understanding that you are worthy of respect, love, and care simply because you exist. External circumstances or people's opinions may fluctuate, but your worth remains constant. Boundaries serve as a protective shield for this inherent value, ensuring that it is not eroded by the winds of the outside world. They are a declaration that you are here to live a life aligned with your truth, not to be molded by the expectations or demands of others. There is also a spiritual aspect to boundaries. When you honor your own needs and energy, you are acknowledging the divinity within you. Many spiritual traditions teach that each person is a unique expression of the universe, deserving of reverence and care. By setting boundaries, you are aligning with this higher truth, recognizing that your well-being is sacred. This act of self-respect not only uplifts you, but also elevates the energy of those around you. It is a way of saying that you honor the gift of your life and will not waste it in situations that diminish your light. The journey of defining and maintaining your boundaries is deeply personal and at times requires unlearning old patterns that many people have been taught to sacrifice their own needs to be loved or accepted. But as you begin to set boundaries, you are rewriting this narrative, reclaiming your power and reminding yourself that your value is non-negotiable. It is a process of coming back to yourself, of learning to trust that your needs matter and that it is not only okay but necessary to protect your energy and your peace. The fear of rejection is a deeply ingrained limitation of the mind, one that shapes the way we engage with the world, make decisions, and even dream about the future. Yet it is crucial to recognize that this fear does not stem from some absolute truth or external inevitability. It originates from within, an echo of past experiences or learned beliefs that the mind has taken to heart. Understanding the nature of this fear is the first step toward liberation from its grip. For once you see it for what it truly is, a construct of your own mind, you begin to reclaim the power that it has stolen from you. The roots of the fear of rejection often lie in our early conditioning docked from childhood. Many of us are taught, either directly or indirectly, to seek approval from those around us. We learn that being accepted, praised, or validated by others feels good, and that being criticized or rejected feels painful. As social beings, humans have an innate desire to belong and connect. But when this desire becomes entangled with the idea that our worth is dependent on others' opinions, the fear of rejection begins to take hold. It creates a narrative that being turned away or dismissed by others is a threat to our very identity and self-esteem. This fear, however, is more than just an emotional response. It shapes how we behave. Consider how many opportunities you may have let slip away because of the fear of being rejected. Perhaps you didn't apply for that dream job, didn't express your true feelings to someone you cared about, or held back from sharing a creative idea out of fear that it would be dismissed. The mind, in its effort to protect you from the discomfort of rejection, convinces you to play it safe, to avoid risks, and to settle for less. It whispers that it is better to stay in the comfort zone of the known than to face the uncertainty of putting yourself out there. Yet when we dig deeper, we realize that this avoidance comes at a significant cost. By yielding to the fear of rejection, we limit our own growth, stifle our potential, and miss out on experiences that could have brought immense fulfillment or success. The mind's fear-based narrative would have you believe that rejection is catastrophic, but in reality, rejection is a normal and often necessary part of the journey to greatness. Think about the stories of successful individuals who faced repeated rejections before achieving their goals. Their resilience wasn't because they didn't feel the sting of rejection, but because they chose not to let it define their worth or their possibilities. The mind, left unchecked, tends to catastrophize rejection. It turns a simple no into a story about personal failure or unworthiness. It projects future scenarios where rejection leads to public embarrassment, isolation, or disappointment, amplifying the fear to the point where it feels paralyzing. But this is precisely where the power of awareness comes into play. By observing these thoughts and understanding that they are merely projections, products of a protective yet misguided mind, you can begin to break free. You can separate your intrinsic value from external outcomes and recognize that your worth does not waver based on how others respond to you. Rejection, when reframed, can be one of the most powerful teachers in life. It invites you to reflect, grow, and realign with your true self. Sometimes, rejection can even be a redirection, pushing you toward something that is more aligned with your purpose or opening the door to a new opportunity you hadn't considered. The mind's limitation is in thinking that rejection is solely a negative event, but the soul knows that every experience has the potential to serve your highest good. By moving beyond the mind's fear-based narrative, you can embrace rejection as a valuable part of your evolution, one that can lead to greater strength, clarity, and self-acceptance. Understanding this fear also requires acknowledging that the opinions of others are subjective and not definitive truths about who you are. Each person perceives the world through their own set of beliefs, biases, and experiences. What one person rejects, another may celebrate. The mind's fear of rejection is often rooted in the illusion that other people's judgments hold the ultimate authority over your life. But when you truly internalize the idea that no one else's opinion has the power to define you unless you allow it, the fear begins to lose its grip. Your self-worth becomes an unshakable foundation, independent of external validation or disapproval. To overcome the limitation of this fear, it is essential to cultivate a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. The mind, when operating from fear, views rejection as the loss of a precious opportunity that can never be replaced. But in reality, life is full of limitless possibilities. If one door closes, others are waiting to be opened. Trusting in this abundance allows you to approach risks and potential rejections with more courage and less attachment to a specific outcome. It fosters a sense of playfulness and curiosity, encouraging you to explore life without being weighed down by the dread of hearing no. Moreover, building resilience to rejection involves developing a stronger relationship with your inner self. The more deeply you understand and value who you are, the less power rejection has over you. Practices like self-reflection, meditation, and affirmations can help you connect with your inner being, grounding you in the truth of your worth. You become less susceptible to the mind's fears when you have an unwavering belief in your value and the confidence that comes from knowing yourself. With this inner strength, you can face rejection without internalizing it, seeing it instead as a part of the human experience that everyone encounters. It is also essential to practice self-compassion when dealing with rejection. The mind tends to be harsh and critical, especially when it feels vulnerable. It may bombard you with thoughts of inadequacy or replay the rejection over and over, amplifying the pain. But self-compassion allows you to be gentle with yourself, to acknowledge that it's okay to feel hurt, but that this moment does not define you. Self-compassion is a powerful antidote to the mind's harsh judgments, reminding you that you are worthy of love and kindness, even when things don't go as planned. It creates a nurturing environment within you where growth and healing can occur. Challenging the fear of rejection also involves taking consistent action in the face of it. The more you put yourself out there, the more you realize that rejection is rarely as devastating as the mind imagines it to be. Each time you face this fear and act anyway, you build a track record of resilience. You teach your mind that you are capable of handling rejection, that it doesn't break you but instead makes you stronger. Over time, the fear diminishes because your mind has evidence that you can survive and even thrive after being turned down or criticized. The more you practice stepping into situations where rejection is possible, the more you desensitize yourself to its sting. This is not to say that you will become immune to discomfort, but you will become more skilled at moving through it. You will begin to see rejection as a sign that you are living boldly, that you are stretching beyond the limitations of the familiar and safe. Instead of fearing rejection, you may even start to seek out opportunities where rejection is a risk, because you know that these are also the opportunities that hold the greatest potential for growth and transformation. It is important to acknowledge that not all rejection is a reflection of you or your worth. Sometimes people reject ideas or relationships because they are dealing with their own fears, limitations, or misunderstandings. By personalizing every rejection, the mind creates unnecessary suffering. But when you can take a step back and understand that rejection often has more to do with the other person's reality than with yours, you liberate yourself from taking it too personally. This detachment allows you to move forward with grace, holding on to your self-worth and continuing to pursue your goals and dreams with confidence. Redefining strength as living your truth is a powerful shift in perspective that can transform the way you engage with the world. Often, society defines strength in terms of external accomplishments, physical power, or the ability to withstand adversity without flinching. But true strength goes far deeper than mere appearances or the ability to put up a brave front. It is rooted in the courage to be your most authentic self, to live in alignment with your core beliefs and values, even when doing so invites criticism, discomfort, or the risk of standing alone. Living your truth requires an unwavering commitment to self-awareness. It begins with understanding who you are at the most profound level, beyond the labels, roles, or expectations placed upon you by society. It asks you to peel back the layers of conditioning that have shaped your worldview, to question inherited beliefs that no longer serve you, and to become deeply acquainted with your desires, aspirations, and guiding principles. This process of self-discovery can be challenging because it often reveals truths about yourself that are inconvenient or difficult to accept. However, embracing these truths, rather than hiding from them, is a hallmark of genuine strength. The act of living authentically is not just about knowing your truth, but also about expressing it unapologetically. It means being honest about what you want and need, even if it means disappointing others or defying societal norms. Many people live inauthentically because they are afraid of being judged, misunderstood, or rejected. They silence their true selves in order to fit in, avoid conflict, or maintain a sense of security. But this self-betrayal comes at a cost. When you compromise your authenticity, you give away your power, and over time, this can lead to a sense of emptiness, resentment, or feeling lost in life. Redefining strength means recognizing that your power lies in your authenticity. It takes immense courage to stand up for what you believe in, to pursue the path that feels right for you, even if it differs from what others expect. Living your truth may require you to make difficult decisions, like leaving a job that doesn't align with your values, ending relationships that stifle your growth, or stepping into roles that others think are too ambitious or unconventional. This kind of strength is not about winning battles or proving your worth to others. It is about having the integrity to honor your inner voice, even when it would be easier to stay silent or conform. One of the most liberating aspects of living your truth is the freedom it brings. When you no longer have to put on a facade or pretend to be someone you're not, you create space for genuine connections and meaningful experiences. The relationships you form become deeper and more fulfilling because they are based on mutual respect and shared authenticity. Opportunities that align with your purpose begin to flow into your life more naturally because you are no longer blocking your own path by living in opposition to your desires. The energy you once spent trying to be what others wanted you to be can now be redirected toward creating a life that truly satisfies you. This journey is not without challenges. Living your truth often requires you to stand firm in the face of opposition. People may criticize or attempt to dissuade you, not necessarily because they wish you harm, but because your courage shines a light on their own fears and insecurities. When you choose to live authentically, it can unsettle those who are invested in maintaining the status quo or who feel threatened by your willingness to break free from societal expectations. Strength in this sense means being able to hold compassion for those who misunderstand you while remaining resolute in your commitment to your path. Another aspect of redefining strength involves embracing vulnerability. Living your truth means exposing parts of yourself that you may have kept hidden for fear of being judged or hurt. It means being willing to share your dreams, voice your opinions, and take risks that make you feel exposed. Vulnerability is often perceived as a weakness, but it is, in fact, one of the greatest strengths you can possess. It takes immense courage to be open and honest in a world that can be harsh and judgmental. Yet it is through vulnerability that true intimacy and connection become possible, and it is through the willingness to be seen as you are that you unlock the full power of your authentic self. Living your truth also requires resilience, the ability to remain steadfast in your authenticity, even when the journey gets tough. There will be moments when living authentically feels isolating, or when the path forward is unclear. You may face setbacks, moments of doubt, or pressure to revert to old patterns of people-pleasing or conforming. Resilience means trusting in the long-term value of your authenticity, even when the short-term rewards are not immediately apparent. It is about holding on to your vision for your life and believing that staying true to yourself is ultimately the most rewarding and fulfilling path. Redefining strength also means understanding that living your truth is a continuous process, not a destination. As you evolve and grow, your understanding of your own truth may change. What felt authentic to you a decade ago may no longer align with who you are today, and that's perfectly okay. It takes strength to acknowledge when you need to pivot, to let go of identities or commitments that no longer serve your highest self. This kind of flexibility is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. It shows that you are committed to living in alignment with your most current and honest understanding of yourself. In living your truth, you may discover that your greatest strength lies in your capacity for self-acceptance. When you fully accept who you are, flaws and all, you become unshakable. You realize that your worth does not depend on external validation or approval, and this realization empowers you to live more boldly. You stop comparing yourself to others or seeking permission to pursue your dreams. Instead, you become your own greatest advocate, driven by a deep sense of self-worth and an understanding that your life's purpose is to express your unique gifts and perspectives. Living authentically inspires others to do the same. When people witness you standing in your truth, it gives them the courage to explore their own authenticity. Your strength becomes a source of light, a beacon that encourages others to question their own limitations and step into their own power. By living your truth, you create a ripple effect that can transform the lives of those around you, not by imposing your beliefs on them, but by showing them what is possible when someone chooses to live fully and fearlessly as themselves. This kind of strength cannot be measured by conventional standards of success or external accolades. It is an inner fortitude that comes from knowing that you are living a life that is true to you, regardless of how it may be perceived by others. It is the quiet confidence of a person who has made peace with themselves, who no longer seeks to be everything to everyone but is content to be fully and unapologetically who they are. Living your truth may not always be easy, but it is always worthwhile, for it is the path that leads to true freedom, fulfillment, and self-mastery. In the end, your journey away from being the nice guy is about reclaiming your power, honoring your authentic self, and having the courage to live in alignment with your truth. When you stop bending to please others and start standing firm in your self-worth, you begin to redefine your life on your own terms. Remember, true strength comes from within, from respecting your boundaries, speaking your desires into reality, and living without fear of rejection. As you embrace your value, let your actions reflect a deep commitment to yourself, and watch as your world transforms in response to your unwavering authenticity.